And you just saw two examples earlier in the program. Robert Lowe Jr., for example, the guitarist who won, he was swinging really hard, and he was playing straight-ahead jazz. Whereas finger roll, it would be difficult to judge them on a swingability criterion because they were playing in a more contemporary vein. So groovability. So you look for whether they are grooving, and you look for, or on the other hand, in the straight-ahead sense, you look for whether they are swinging in that pocket that we all listen for.
Okay. Now, why wouldn't there be a separate category for groovability and swingability? Because, you know, then you maybe come to that decision where you've got a groove versus a swing.
No. It's just a matter of, okay, you've got Robert Lowe Jr., so what he's doing, we apply swingability as a criterion.
Okay.
Then you put finger roll up, okay, what they're doing, swingability doesn't necessarily mean that much for what they're doing, so you listen for whether they are grooving.
So whoever does it better, their particular
whoever, yes,
vibe,
is within that particular pocket, that sense of gravity, that hard to define term, swing and groove, you know, but you know it when you hear it.
Yeah. Now, judges, of course, it's all subjective. So, Pierre, I don't know if you're into swaying more than groove more, but would that play a part in your decision?
Well, you have to judge, you know, music by the standards of the music, not by what you want to hear. You know, yeah, I'm an old-time jazz cat, right? I love jazz, so of course I'm very sympathetic to guys like Robert Lowe who swing in a straight-ahead sense. But one of the things I love about recording and doing this is that it's opened up my mind to other kinds of music. And if I listen to fusion jazz, I'm trying to judge it by the criteria in that world, not by my old-time jazz cat standards. And that's exactly what Willard is talking about. Fusion has its own standards, and they are about that. There's about a certain kind of beat that by old-time jazz standards would probably be considered, you know, monotonous. Right. But it's not, of course. Once you're in that world and you begin to hear it, you know, and we're in a great place in Washington. There's some very special stuff on that side, go-go kinds of music that have unbelievable groove. Right. You know, in fact, I believe groove that's never really been recorded, because when you go to hear it live, it's, you know, it'll knock you to your knees.
That's true.
And not at all in the sense of swing. You know?
Exactly. Now, Vaughn, is it easier for you, being a musician, to judge other musicians?
No. Because really, what I always go to, and most of us, is for most jazz musicians, this music is not only our way of making a living, but it's our passion. It's our spiritual sustenance. So I always usually am a little lenient if something's not coming across, because I know how hard that artist has tried to do something, all the fires he or she has had to put out just to even get there. So, and there's a million of them, because this is a very hard way to make a living. It really is, and you really have to. It has to be your passion, or you had better get out of it, because talent is maybe 3 or 4 characteristics down the line in order to be successful. You've got to have perseverance and tenacity and belief in yourself. Maybe a little talent down the road helps, but without those first 3 or 4, you're not, man, you're just not going to make it.
All right. From one who knows. Well, listen, as we take this next break, this is a look at B.E.T Carter, we are featuring the topic of the day, which is Jazz Discovery. We are talking criteria, Jazz Discovery criteria, and now we need to talk about visual appearance. And, you know, we saw B.E.T a little earlier on, and she's gorgeous, but that's not what we're talking about when we say visual appearance.
No, we're not talking about cosmetic beauty or God-given beauty or handsomeness or anything of that nature, but there is an element of visual appearance that plays a role here. An example was, I remember last season being on a program where we were judging a guy who was playing a fine saxophone, but it took away from his playing the fact that he was so casual in his dress. had a pair of shorts and a T-shirt on. And I really believe that the way you come out in your appearance is a direct reflection in some way on how serious you are about your music and how serious you are about projecting yourself to your audience and how serious you are about making an impression on that audience. Because if you take that audience casually and come out casually, I mean, that reflects on their response to your performance. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to come out in evening gowns and tuxedos and that kind of thing. That's a little overblown. That's going over to the other side.
Right.
But I think when Wynton Marsalis and the guys of his generation began to wear suits, they took some ridicule for that, but I think that was good because I think it elevated that element. Because people spend good money, they want to see a good performance, and they want to see that you are serious about what you're doing as well, and I think your appearance reflects that.
Exactly, and it is a visual society, and Ron,
Right.
you were nodding your head immediately when Willard started talking.
If you love something, you want to represent it to the best of your ability, down to the color of your socks. I mean, you want the music to come over. You love it. If you care about it, you want it to be well represented. And that's the way, I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah. And Pierre, it looks like you agree too.
I do. There's one more thing I look for, which is kind of the body language of visual appearance. That's very important because that's part of telling the story. Mm-hmm. Jazz, after all, is not just straight music. It's a performance.
Right.
And what your stance is when you're singing or playing the saxophone or playing drums conveys something to the audience, and or even just how you hold the mic. We were just talking about that. It's very important. And a great performer can turn holding a mic into a ballet. And a little of that helps when you submit a video here.
Okay.
Right.
And Ron, as a musician and as one of our former contenders and winners, what do you want to talk about? I know you had some very important points that you wanted to make about the fact that you don't have to win. It's just getting
Sure,
out there.
it's not about necessarily winning, but you're getting your product and your spirit over to many people. I get calls at 3:30 in the morning from all over the United States because of Jazz Discovery.
And that's right, because you were not actually
I got
a
a
winner.
record label.
You were not a winner.
That's
exactly.
true.
You were
I got
a
a
finalist.
record deal. It has a lot to do with what this station has done for music. It just made a tremendous contribution. And I very much I have a tremendous amount of gratitude to Bet on Jazz for what they've done for me. And I would to any musician, send your thing in here, man. I mean, people, it's all about making a contribution to something that we love and helping support a great art form. And I mean, that's what it's all about, so let's do it.
All right. Any other final comments as we...
Well, just to reflect on what Vaughn said, winning is secondary to actually being part of the program, because whoever is sitting out there watching may not agree with what the three of us or what other three judges decided or determined was the winner.
And that is an important note. It's not always the same judges week after
Exactly.
week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, just simply getting that kind of exposure is precious, because for this music, it doesn't happen very often. And right now, it only happens here.
Yeah, we're proud to be the vehicle through this. Pierre, final thought from you.
I'm always excited to come here for exactly that reason. I'm looking forward to seeing that special artist, that special performance. And we have in mind on the order of 3 or 4 records we want to do with artists that we've seen here. I don't think any of whom were winners here, incidentally. One that, in fact, Willard and I are working on here. I first saw sitting down in the green room on an old B.E.T. on Jazz tape.